Deion Sanders' luggage is certainly impressive, Louis Vuitton, with sleek wheels to match. But it's not just the baggage he's carrying, it's the talent he's brought along with him to Colorado. The stars he recruited from Jackson State, such as Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, have shown they can shine on any stage. In doing so, Coach Prime has silenced any doubts about whether he could succeed at the Power 5 level. He can, and he has. "I'm so excited," Sanders said after his team's 48-21 victory over Central Florida, a win that secured Colorado a share of the lead in the Big 12 standings. "You have no idea." But now that Sanders has proven he can win at this level, the question becomes, can he sustain this success at Colorado? And, more importantly, does he even want to? Sanders often appears like a coach who's living out of his suitcase rather than settling down for the long haul. Despite his public statements that he plans to coach at Colorado for at least a decade and has no interest in an NFL job, his past actions tell a different story. He once said that God called him to coach at Jackson State and vowed to change the perspective of HBCU football. He did just that, until a more enticing opportunity came knocking. Colorado called, and Sanders packed his bags and moved on. It's hard to blame him for taking a higher-paying job with greater visibility, but it raises the question, how long will he stay this time? One sign that Sanders might not be planning for a long tenure at Colorado is the state of his recruiting class. Colorado's 2024 class currently ranks last in the Big 12, with only 8 commitments. It's a puzzling situation considering Sanders' undeniable success. He's 8-9 at Colorado, including a 4-1 record this season. Given the state of the program before his arrival, that's nothing short of miraculous. Colorado was languishing in one of the worst stretches in its history, alongside Northwestern as the worst teams in the FBS in 2022. Sanders came in and injected new life into the program, attracting national attention. Yet, his recruiting has stalled, raising questions about whether Sanders is planning for the future or merely living in the present. Building a competitive program almost exclusively through the transfer portal, as Sanders has done, is a risky strategy. Transfers like Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, elite talents who made an immediate impact, are rare. Shedeur is expected to enter the NFL draft after this season, and Hunter is likely to follow. Without them, sustaining success will be much harder. Shiloh Sanders, Deion's other son, is also a senior. Once his sons are gone, what's to keep Sanders from packing up and moving on? For now, Sanders has managed to plug Colorado's holes with transfers, but long-term success requires more than just patching up the roster. Elite college football programs are built in the trenches, with top-tier recruits, particularly on the offensive and defensive lines. Sanders understands this, but his recruiting efforts suggest he may not be interested in the hard work of long-term program building at Colorado. Instead, he may be eyeing his next opportunity. If Sanders does decide to move on after this season, Colorado will have experienced the full force of the Prime effect. He's put the program in the national spotlight, ensuring it wasn't left behind amid conference realignment. Colorado's admissions have surged since his arrival, and the football team has become must-watch TV. But if Sanders leaves, replacing him will be nearly impossible. There's only one Coach Prime, and his combination of charisma, star power, and coaching ability is one of a kind. So, as this season progresses, keep an eye on Sanders' luggage. It might be a sign of where he's headed next. Other topics in this week's Top Rope column. Did Ole Miss's soft schedule lead to their loss? It's tempting to blame Mississippi's early season schedule of easy opponents for their 20-17 loss to Kentucky. However, the issue wasn't their cupcake opponents but rather the failures of Lane Kiffin's transfer portal-heavy strategy, particularly on the offensive line. Kentucky dominated up front, exposing the Rebels' weaknesses. Email of the week: should Auburn have run the ball? In a game against Oklahoma, Auburn coach Hugh Freeze dialed up a passing play on 3rd and 4 late in the fourth quarter. The result? A pick six that turned the game in Oklahoma's favor. Reader Gary argues that Freeze should have stuck to the run game, and I agree. Auburn could have controlled the clock, or at worst, punted the ball deep. Instead, they gambled, and lost. Alabama versus Georgia. Different perspectives. A reader disputes my take on Alabama's win over Georgia, claiming that Alabama was lucky to escape with a win. While Georgia did make a comeback, Alabama's quarterback, Jalen Milroe, still posted 491 total yards, hardly the performance of someone who got lucky.